Everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am from TikTok, and I've seen your support and I've seen your interest of the possible question you want to be helped with. Welcome here. Please subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question. I accept criticism because that is what makes me, it makes me grow. So I accept criticism. Be positive with your criticism. I accept it. I accept different types of feedback. I'm okay with it. So subscribe, leave a comment, share if possible, and let's grow together in this job seeking process. So I'm going to give you more examples of situational questions, but I'm going to start from the first one I posted on TikTok. I'm going to start with the first one. So why is an interviewer going to ask you situational questions and not going to ask you possible questions from your resume? Practically, they assume that whatever is on your resume, you have worked, the experience is something you've been doing for the years you've mentioned. So they give you maybe a 70% on that or a 60% on that. So these 40%, they want to see your work ethics and your communication skills and how you can solve a problem. So situational questions are the questions that starts with, tell me a time when. If you hear an interviewer asking, tell me a time when, automatically, that is a situational question. What possible answers are you going to give to such questions? That's why I'm making this video for you to watch, prepare, do research, and understand and be able to communicate while you are sitting in an interview room. First question, tell me a time when you went above and beyond for work. This sounds to be a very simple question, but it depends on how you're going to answer it. You should answer this question basing on the fact that you might find that you had a lot of customers coming in and maybe the staff was not enough. Okay? Those people who are working that time were not enough and there were very many customers coming in. What did you do? You maintained your professionalism, you maintained your positive attitude at work and made sure every guest or every customer walked out satisfied. Don't say, we did all we could, but I know we are human beings, we can make mistakes. No. Don't stop complaining. State a solution. Because situational questions wants to know what benefits, what problems can you solve, and what benefits did you bring to the organization when the problem was solved. If a customer gets satisfied, like service, they get good services, they will go out there and give a good review and recommend. That's an add or a plus to the organization and to you as a person. Let's dive to the second question. Okay, tell me about a time when you had to choose something else over doing a good job. These are jobs you've been applying for, you've been praying for, you've fasted, and now an interviewer is asking you, tell me a time when you had to choose something else over doing a good job. This is not a demeaning question. This is a question that wants an interviewer to see how open-minded you are with your personal life. For instance, let's say you lost a spouse, you're married and you lost your spouse, or there is an emergency at home, or your son came back, or your daughter came back, or your child came back from school with a broken limb or a fractured hand. What are you going to do? Are you going to leave your child in pain and check in to work because you value your work too much? Are you going to let people bury your spouse and check in to work because you prayed for that work and you love your work so much? No. Be human. In this response, be human enough. Say it as it is. Okay? I might say I went back home. You give a situation. I went back home. Even if you've never been in that situation and you're in the interview room and you've been asked this question, have an imaginary possible situation. Say maybe I went back home and my son came back after skiing, or he he was on the playground playing with other kids, and he came back with a fractured limb, and you had to rush him to the hospital. And when you arrived at the hospital, he had to stay, and you had nobody else to take care of that. So you didn't check into work that day. You had to take care of your son. Or yourself personally, you hurt yourself while you're going back home. Maybe you got an accident, or you went back home and you burnt yourself while doing something in the kitchen, and you are in so much pain. You can't go to work while you are in so much pain. You need to be comfortable at the workplace so that you can deliver good services. That's why you chose to stay at home until you felt better. Good. That's a good answer. Question number 3. Describe a situation where you weren't satisfied with your job. What could you have done to make it better? We are human beings, right? And we are prone to mistakes. So don't say you are so perfect at the workplace that you deliver the most perfect services. There are times you are short of ideas and you just don't do it right. So you are not satisfied with what you did, but how are you going to make it better? How are you going to make it better? 1, base your answer on, you are going to look at the problem that you caused or the shortcomings on your side, and you're going to do a research on it, and to make sure next time if something like that happens, you are delivering it perfectly. Even if it's not 100%, last time it was 60%, but this time it's 80%. There's a big difference. Okay, base your answer on possible solutions you are going to do to make sure next time you are comfortable with the services you delivered. Okay, let's go to the fourth question. Sorry. Tell me about a time you reached a big goal at work. How did you reach it? This is the growth you have from the moment you start working. These are the possible efforts you're putting through at your workplace. These are the good services you're putting through at your workplace. And maybe at the end of the year, you are told you did this, you are the best this year, you are standing out in your position. How did you go about it? You might say maybe a company wanted to achieve a certain percentage or certain target at the end of the year. So with you decided to go and do research on possible ways to reach that target. And you worked closely with your other work colleagues, asking them questions on how you can go about it. And at the end of the day, you got it right. Possible answer. Let's look at question number 5. Describe a situation where you saw a problem and took steps to fix it. Sounds like a simple question, right? But what are you going to answer? How are you going to base your response? Maybe let's go under housekeeping. There are so many chemicals you use when it comes to housekeeping. And when these chemicals are not labeled correctly, you might use a wrong chemical at the wrong place or a wrong chemical at the right place. This is a right chemical, but you're using it somewhere that it should not be used. So what are the possible solutions? You saw the chemicals and maybe you are checking out from work, you were in a rush, but you felt like you can't just leave those chemicals unlabeled. So you decided to label them accordingly and specifying this is the place this chemical should be used and this is how it should be stocked. You've answered the question, short and precise. Let's go to question number 6. Question number 6. Tell me about a time you collaborate with your co-worker who was so tough to please. We have co-workers who just like doing their things their own way. Like, you can't tell them otherwise. They want to do it their own way, and that's who they are. First, you should learn how to accommodate people. At workplace, you will never be the same. People are coming from different backgrounds, but learn how to accommodate people. So you can give a scenario. Maybe you are someone who is working as a bartender or a mixologist, or you are working on beverages, but you felt like this coworker likes doing things his own way. So you approached him and you studied him, you analyzed him or them, and you were trying to understand why do they like doing things their own way. Then when you became friendly, you started understanding this is the reason why he does this or they do this in their own possible way, and you learned from each other. Once you exchange ideas with each other, you have to come to a possible solution. So you learned from him, they learned from you, possible solutions, you agreed on one idea, and that's how you started working along each other perfectly without a problem. Question number 6, tell me about a time when you had to work with an important customer or a difficult manager. Yeah, the first one was a co-worker. This one is a customer or a manager. These are two different scenarios. These are two different scenarios. You might find a customer is maybe complaining over an order, and maybe you are not on duty that day, but you have to handle the situation. Or a HR needs perfectionism. Like, there are those HR who, like, you need to deliver. There's no in between. How are you going to work with such people? So you have to accept that there are people who will never be satisfied with everything. But that doesn't mean you are doing something wrong, okay? That doesn't mean you are doing something wrong. Maintain or put more effort in whatever you are doing, and don't put pressure on yourself. So maybe you are working for 6 hours, and you decided this time I'm trying to work for 7 hours to see the outcome. And maybe the manager, is the type of person who likes people who put in more effort because they need to see the organization grow. Yeah, that's how it is. So you decided maybe to add an extra hour to just make sure whatever the HR or the customer needs is being met. Okay, whatever their needs are being met. That's how you can answer such a question. Describe a situation where you had to make a good impression on a customer. How did you do it? This is a frequent customer, but now you've chosen that this day I'm going to make a really good impression. How did you do it? Okay, for instance, the photographers. Let's talk about photographers. There are those photographers who work on cruise ship, and they're meeting different clients, and maybe you've met this client more than 3 times, and you want to do something different from what you've been doing in your previous shootings or videos or coverage. What is some possible unique thing you're going to do to make a good impression? So you should be smart. For instance, this client is someone who do not maintain good relationship with service deliverers. Like, you as a worker, you as a photographer, this is someone who does not maintain. Like, they don't work with people for more than 1 year. It's like 2 months. They have another person. 3 months. They have another person. So you want to impress this person because in your mind you see a possible opportunity. So you ask around, you get to know them, you get to know the reason maybe why they don't, stick with one vendor for too long. So once you learn, maybe they need perfectionism, they need good services, you decide to stay because maybe they're putting you under pressure and you feel like you want to leave. But because you want to impress them, you decide to do it under that pressure. You do it and you execute the plan and you deliver the best services. I'm sure at the end of the day, they might consider you even for another opportunity or another chance to polish your skills. Those are the possible answers you should base on. So number 9, tell me about a time your workload was very heavy. You walk into your job every day and you find that 3 workers in your department are sick and they didn't check in, and you have to clean more than 20 rooms in a day under housekeeping. Tell me about a time when your workload was very heavy. I'm giving a situation now. You walk in, 3 workers are not there, and you need to deliver. You need to deliver. So this is a question that is judging priorities. How do you prioritize your tasks when it comes to workload? How do you prioritize your task? Okay, let's see the possible answers. You had too many customers checking in and maybe most of the rooms were not well maintained or well cleaned, and you have customers who are demanding they want to check in. What are you going to do? You're going to talk to each of the guests and understand how flexible are they when it comes to check-in. Then you're going to give priorities to room check-in, and then you go maybe to the next task. You can say, after I've like checked the room, inspected the room, and I see it's okay, you're going to check in the guests accordingly. And then after that, you're going to supply linens, you are going to supply the complimentary, maybe the stationery, the coffee, and all those. You're just going to prioritize your tasks to minimize guests satisfaction and to maximize guest satisfaction and to minimize disruption of guests. You're not disrupting them in any way, but you're maximizing that when they leave, they were satisfied with your services. Let's go to 11. Describe a time when you had too many to-do items on your list. How did you solve the problem? This is basing on problem-solving technique. So problem-solving technique, and you will just go back to prioritize. Sorry, you go back to how you put your tasks. Maybe you have to clean the room, you have to go to the public area, you have to go and supply linens, and there's so much. You feel like this is so much to do. Make sure you sit down, have a notebook, note all the tasks down, and start arranging them to the most important and the least important. That's how we are going to execute this. That is the possible answer. Priorities, okay? Priorities. Yeah, so in specific job scenario questions, when it comes to situationals, just guide on your soft skills. And I think I will mention some of the soft skills. Like I mentioned in the TikTok video, I have mentioned in the TikTok video soft skills, but I'm going to mention here again. Be dependable, positive attitude, maintain a positive attitude, self-motivated, be team-oriented, like you can work under team collaboration, time management, steady under pressure, like whenever how much the workplace is so busy, you maintain a steady mood or attitude. Communication, flexibility, confidence. Be confident in yourself while you're meeting different guests. Detail oriented, problem solving, decision making, customer service, critical thinking. Those are some of the skills you can put in your CV. So there are so many questions. I might not be able to handle them here in this one video, but I will create another video and I'll give you possible answers to the same. In the next video, I'm going to show you the CV structure, the layout, pasteable keywords, and how you can adjust your CV to ATS standards. Thank you for watching. Please share, leave a comment, subscribe, and I really appreciate it. Bye, lovelies.